Hello, fellow Jupiter Ed users. I wanted to take an opportunity to go over how to use the grading system within Jupiter. So I'm using this defunct accounting class as an example here. So this class uses modules. If you use modules, it's actually pretty easy to grade. Let me show you what I mean by that. Let's go to this assignment. This module, this JunoPod, that's what I'm calling a module. It has 18 points or 18 things that it's grading. And so when you attach the pod to the assignment, ooh, it just got really big for a second. It automatically populates worth 18 points out of 18 possible. And that's fine. What that does is it just keeps track of the number of points in this pod that are available. And then whenever the students actually do the work, it will tell you how many points right here. I went ahead and typed in some numbers. It tells you how many points right here they got correct. And then that transfers into their score. They get 18 out of 18. And that's 100%, right? So for instance, this student, I gave her 100% of everything. So you can see that it transfers. It automatically does the grading. And what it does is based on the category that you put these points in, it adds up the number of points for the total category. It's not on their overall grade is calculated based on the total number of points in that category for that term. So in this accounting class, they have these 4 assignments are homework under the category homework, and I'll show you. The category is homework, and there's 18. This one has 34. This one has 12. This one has 4. It is not, yes, they get a grade on each individual item. So for instance here, she gets an individual grade. If she got all of them correct, she gets her individual grade for that assignment. That's fine. But her average for that class calculates by adding up all of the points in all of the assignments that she has under this category. And then it tells how many of those she got correct, which is this score right here. So you can just look at this and you can see, okay, well, you got, so Aaliyah, for instance, in this one, you got all of these right, Aaliyah. You got 72 of the 72 problems correct. So you know what she's doing specifically. You can pinpoint that pod. I'm not saying you can't do that with grades. I'm saying that with points, it's just easier to say, oh, we got 4 wrong, as opposed to, well, you got 30% wrong. Let me see how many that is, right? With points being a direct representation of the number of problems, then you can see exactly how many she got wrong, how many she got right. So for instance, Kaylee Moore, I gave her 50% in everything correct. So let's say, so that shows she got 50% of the total number of points correct. So let's say she went back and redid this one, and she got all of these right. Let's update that. So now it shows she got 45 out of 72. So her grade in homework is 62.5%. And that accounts for 70% of her grade. Okay, and her tests account for 30% of her grade. All right, so she's got 50% on her test. Let's say she made a little bit higher on her test. Let's say she got 30 right out of 38. Let's update that score. So now she has a 78.9, which is a C+. So then these two scores, this is multiplied by 70%, this is multiplied by 30%, and that gives her overall average of 67.4, which is a D+. And that's how that works. So it's all about the total number of points they get in the category. It's not about averaging the individual scores per assignment, but the total points in the category that they have available versus the total points in the category they get correct. Then that averages and multiplies by what you have it weighted as in your grading scale for your class. And that is how points work. Now, you don't have to use points, obviously, if you're using assignments that are not, let's say they don't have a module. Let's say it's a paper. Let's detach this module. If you have your students do something, it might be a test, it might be a worksheet, and you know that there's 20 problems on the worksheet, you could still use points. And then you just type in the number of problems that get correct on the worksheet. But what if they're doing a paper? If they're doing a paper that's harder to grade with points, maybe what you want to do is use percents or grades. Then you could actually, if they made a 50%, or let's say you wanted to give them 80%, you could just type in 80%, and then that would be their score. And that would be the better way to grade that type of an assignment. So I strongly suggest that when you're using modules, you just allow it to use the number of points in the module. And if you feel like problems within that module are worth more than other problems, you can go in and you can edit that in the pod. There's actually a space above each problem where you can say what the point value for that problem is. So if it's a long answer and you feel like it's worth 5 points, or if it's a complicated problem, you feel like it's a multi-step problem and that should be worth 4 points, you can change that. You can make that one problem worth more, and that's fine. But for modules or genopods, I highly recommend that you use points. And for papers or things that are objective or subjective that are graded with a percentage, that don't have a module attached, I would use the percents. That's just going to be a little bit easier grading. And I wanted you to see how that affects their overall score. So in this case, now they only have 74 points that they have available. But then that grade is affected by this 80% as well because it's in the same category. So this 80% is averaged in to the points that they have here. It does change the value of the grade, but the system does it for you. You do not have to worry about trying to figure out what 80% would be in comparison to the number of points that they have. It does it all for you, okay? So before, this person had 100% on everything. Let's say I changed my mind and I want to give her 100% on that particular item. Let's update that. Well, now it takes into account she has 100%. So the system can handle having multiple types of points. You don't have to stick to one or the other. I think that for our purposes, it's better to match the grading type with the assignment as opposed to a particular preference that we have for what we like to, the way we like to grade. It needs to be corresponding to whether it's a genopod or whether it's a paper that we give a percentage, as opposed to, or even a worksheet that has a number that we can actually, say this many right or this many wrong, as opposed to, I'm going to always grade with percentages, or I'm going to always grade with points. So let that be your guide whenever you're using the grading system on Jupyter. And I hope that helps clear up some of the confusion with the grading system and how that all works. And that's all I have for now. Thanks. Bye.